Jai Matara, Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Bhairav Baba. Let's start on Ma Kamakhya.
Ma Kamakhya.
Hmm.
How is Ma Kamakhya different from other Ma's, the other deities? How is her Shaktipitha different from other places?
So, first and foremost, Kamakhya is a very unique Shaktipitha and one of the four original Shaktipithas. So, we have evidences in texts that earlier times there used to be four primary Shaktipithas. Of them, Kamakhya or Kamrupa was one of them. And eventually it spread into 51 Shaktipithas, or in some cases even 108 Shaktipithas. They developed later on. But the primary Shaktipitha, the four primary original Shaktipithas, of them, the one that is still continuously worshipped till today is Kamakhya. Now, the method of worship has undergone changes over centuries many times. The identification of the deity, who's Kamakhya, and this is the thing that practitioners, upasakas, scholars have done in their own manner, has also changed over times. In some cases, it is, in some texts, it is old texts, it is, or some references mention that Kamakhya was originally known as Kubjika in some places. Kubjika is a Kubjika
Okay, Kubjika.
means the hunched backed goddess. She is considered to be the primary deity of the Paschimamna. Paschima means the western transmission of tantras. So tantras come out from the faces of Shiva. Shiva has 5 faces, there are 5 transmissions. Of them, the Western transmissions, primary Kula Devi, or the queen of the Western transmission, primary deity was known as Kubjika. Okay. And it was believed that Kamakhya, the deity who's there inside the Garbhagriha of Kamakhya, is Kubjika. At the same time, we have texts like the Kalika Puran, which is a primary, which is about again 8th, 9th century, and scholars believe that the Kalika Puran was composed around Kamakhya Pitha, where very clearly Kamakhya is equated with both Kali, Chandi, these forms. Okay, that's very categorical representation. Then we have texts like the Yogini Tantra that comes in about 14th and 15th century, where the Kamakhya is considered as not only Kali, but also we have as Tripura Sundari. Okay, she is considered as the delightful form of Tripura Sundari, Kameshwari. Then we have the Kamakhya Tantra itself. There's a text called the Kamakhya Tantra, where she is represented as a deity with 6 heads and 12 arms, and a very strange and peculiar and powerful arrangement of vahanas. Okay, all in all, at the end of all this theological speculation, the heart of Kamakhya is Nirakara. There is no shape and form. That means she can take any shape and form. Okay. So she is the Adi Shakti, Adi Parashakti, the absolutely primordial form of the deity, where she is extremely raw, extremely primordial. She is older than the Shastras. Let's put it this way. Even before the Tantra Shastras were not written down, or it did not appear in the consciousness of rishis and upasakas, she was there even before that. Okay, so all the shastras that we are is basically trying to find a lens to quantify and understand a phenomenon that is very raw and very ancient, very, very, very ancient. It's more ancient than anything, more ancient than our culture and the way it is today. And the significance of the Yoni Pitha is that Kamakhya is a Yoni Pitha. So the Yoni of the goddess Sati is believed to have fallen there. The primary role of Yoni is that it's a source of creation. So from Kamakhya, anything can be created.
Okay.
So that is why Kamakhya is considered is such a revered pitha for anybody who is doing Devi Upasana, specifically in the Tantra Marga, when the Upasana is done of Devi. And Tantra may be more categorically Kaulachara and Vamachara, the left hand path, which is the path of Vama, is also, by the way, Shakti. Shakti is known as Vama. The left hand is Shakti and the right side is Purusha. So Vamachara is also the path of favored path of Shakti. So when that Upasana is done in that format, she is the absolute queen, the primordial goddess. Why so many different categorizations? It is because different people will approach her different ways. You can worship her as Tripur Sundari, you can worship her as Kali, you can worship her as Tara. And there is this beautiful thing people don't understand. Some of her mantras, there is a very powerful mantra of Ma Kamakhya that comes from the texts. Some of the vijas used in that mantra are actually Tara vijas.
Okay.
Very ancient Tara Vijas. So right now the Ma Tara's Mula Vija that is used is the Panchakshari mantra of Tara that is very popular today, which is Ugra Tara's mantra, and some modification of it makes it Neela Saraswati, Ekajata forms, etc. Uh, there is a story, it's believed that the Rishi Vasistha once, and this story comes from the Rudra Yamal Tantra and the Brahma Yamal Tantra and many other old tantras. He once had the desire to worship Mahamaya. So he asked his father, he's the Manasputra of Brahma. He's one of the most ancient and powerful rishis. That how do I worship? So he says that you go there and you do the worship in Kamakhya Kshetra, in Kamrupa. So he goes there, 1000 years he worships, no result. And he gets very frustrated. And he gets frustrated, he's about to set a curse on the deity. And when he hears a Daivavani, a divine voice, some texts mention that it is Brahma who speaks to him. Some texts say that it is the Devi who speaks to him. And he says that your method of worship is wrong. That is why you have not succeeded. You go to Chinachar. Chinachar is basically Tibet, Tibetan region. So he goes there and he meets the texts define there's a man sitting down with long hair and very unkempt, okay, and in front of him there is a bowl of meat, there's some alcohol, and there are three beautiful women around him. Vashishta is furious looking at this and he's saying that what kind of sadhana is this? Okay, I've never seen anything like this. This cannot be sadhana. This is vavichar. This is like hedonism. Okay, and then he has a conversation with that man. That conversation, that dialogue between that man, whom the texts later identify as Buddha Rupi Narayan. It is Narayana who comes in the form of a Buddha, not Gautam Buddha, because there are many Buddhas who have come.
Okay.
So much ancient Buddha who has come, with whom Vashishta has a dialogue. And then he explains the path of Chinachara, he explains the path of Vamachara. What is the Vamachara path? How these things can be used, even those which we consider as things that degrade. I mean, the Vedic religion, these things would not be considered admissible, right? These are very grave crimes, but grave papas. But in this path, the things that are supposed to take you down are the very things that can take you up. Okay. When done in the correct way, when the sadhana is done correctly. And with that knowledge, he bows down to the Buddha, he comes back, and he does the Panchatattva puja of Devi, and he goes where? He comes to Tarapit. And that is where he does the puja, and that is where he attains Siddhi of Tara. So he starts with Kamakhya and he comes to here and Vashishta attains the Siddhi of Tara using the 5 tattvas, the Panchatattva puja. Panchatattva puja is the heart of Tantra sadhana. That is why Kamakhya is unique, because that Panchatattva puja is still done. When we offer to Ma Kamakhya, we offer there's Bali, that is offered meat, that is offered fish, that is offered purified alcohol, that is offered. We do that in Tarapit also. Okay. So these forms of the mother, they love that form of worship. This is the uniqueness of this pitha. This is the way of the Shakti, this is the way of Vamachara. And Vamachara is different from other acharas. Achara means is a attitude, a way of approach. This is her domain. Vamachara is what she really loves. Every other achara that you do is also fine. She's not saying that you can't do that. That's good. But understand that this is what she really likes. There's a difference between what I like and what I tolerate.
This is what she loves.
She loves. Let's be very categorical. And this is not my words. Tantra is repeated over and over and over again. Over again. I mean, there are so many slokas about it, so many instances mentioned over and over that she loves Vamachara. Yes, there is a paddhati of it. It's not about just randomly doing something. There's a methodology of it. There's a discipline and manner in which you have to approach this. There's a seriousness in this. You approach this as a sadhana, then it becomes a sadhana. You approach this as some kind of hedonism, then it becomes hedonism. It will take you down.
Yes.
That is the difference.
Yes, I've seen that. I've actually seen how people in Kamrup love Ma, but also are very fearful. They don't want to, do anything wrong. The locals.
Correct.
They don't want to do anything wrong.
Correct.
They love her. I've seen it in Ma Tara Mandir, Tarabadi. Somebody was taking photographs and some localites got very angry. He says, no, don't do that. So they protect their deity.
Yes, as it should be.
As it should be.
Yes.
As it should be. And it's quite clean and it's beautiful. Sir, Ma Kamakhya has a very beautiful iconography.
Yes.
She's sitting on the lotus. She has strange vahanas. Would you, tell us something about it?
Yeah. So it's a beautiful iconography. It's the right word. I mean, I can't. Uh, there's no end to her beauty.
She's
There's
just
an end
sitting
to
on
her
lotus.
power. Okay. The vahanas are so beautiful. So we have this iconography where we see there's a lion, and top of the lion there's a Shiva, like white colored Shiva, and from his navel there is a lotus coming out. On top of that lotus is Kamakhya Devi sitting. So these three are considered to be Brahma. That lion is considered to be Vishnu. Okay, and that white colored Shiva is known as Shwet Preta. Okay, it's like a Preta. Okay, Shiva, and that lotus is Brahma. So she sits on Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar, all the three. They are her Vahanas. She is a deity who has made the Trimurti as her Vahanas. So they themselves, when Mahamaya in its Purna Swarup, Adi Shakti, comes as Kamakhya because she is so ancient and so powerful. So these deities, they decide that they will come down and become her Vahana because nothing else has the capacity to hold her. Nothing else in the whole universe can carry her because she is that intense, she is that magnificent, she is that the holder of extreme dualities, which means that she is very ugra and she is very somya. She is very heavy and then she is lighter than air. There's nothing that she cannot contain within herself. She's so vast and she's so tiny. Everything is inside her. Okay. So this kind of a power can only reside. Nothing on this earth has the capacity to hold her. That is why the three gods come down. But they say, the text very beautifully put it, so that people are not disturbed by this kind of an iconography. So they change their forms. So Vishnu becomes a lion. Okay. So that if for the ordinary consciousness, if you see Vishnu as a Vahana, you'll get disturbed because it's a primary deity. Okay. It's a Shiva as a Vahana. You become
maybe
you get disturbed. You might get disturbed. So they change their Swarupa, and Brahma becomes a lotus. So these three are the platform on which she sits, and these three forms are also the Nilachal Parvata. They become the mountain on which the deity is sitting.
So from the place where we just take the mountain, the hill up.
Right.
So that is where we're actually stepping on Sri Vishnu.
Yeah. So all the deities are there, and they're also Bhairava, by the way. They're also Bhairava. They are you will see that there are certain iconographies of Devi, very esoteric iconographies, where Bhairava is holding the Pitha. The Devi is so intense that specifically there's a form of Bhairava called Navatman Bhairava, where a very rare form of the deity stands on that Bhairava. So her feet doesn't fall. So he holds the 2 feet of the deity on his two palms, something like that. So similarly, the Nilachal Parvat itself is Bhairava, who holds the goddess on Kamakhya on top of on his body, on his being, and this iconography also has another interpretation. One day I was doing her puja and I was meditating on Kamakhya with her mantra, and it suddenly flashed into my head. So Kamakhya, to attain communion with Kamakhya is very difficult. It's not everybody's cup of tea because she is also a deity of warfare in some senses, by the way. And those who do Kamakhya sadhana, they know it very well, better than anybody else. She will make you fight, fight, fight. She's not for the pansy. She's not for the weak-hearted. Fight, 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 fight. Only then you will succeed. Okay. The primary rule is that you can fall down, but you cannot get out of the ring. If you're scared, then it's not for you. Now, the lion is the representative of dharma. Okay. First is the lion at the base, which means that you have to do dharmic activities like a lion. You cannot be scared. If there's fear in your heart, lion is representative of an animal that does not get scared. It is a leader. It can plunge into an activity in a very bold, strong, steady steps with tremendous amount of courage. At least in the average consciousness, we look at lion like that. So basically, she says that first you work for dharma. First you work for establishment of dharma like a lion. Not being scared, not through shady moves, no. Not trying to escape, like, no. You plunge into it. Succeed or failure doesn't matter. You cross that stage, then you become like a preta, which means Shwet Preta means Shiva means then you become completely nirlipta, detached from the world. Next stage. Okay. You have transcended all the dharmic activities that has to be done by her will. You have not reached her yet, but that is her order. After that, you become nirlipta. Nirlipta, you are non-attached to anything, neither happiness nor sadness, nothing. You are like Shiva, like that, the Shvet Preta. In that condition, a new beginning starts like a lotus from the navel. Then the Kundalini Shakti awakens from there, in that state. Then she blossoms into Kamakhya. This is the
That is
stages.
how she actually comes into our lives.
Truly speaking, that is how she comes into the life of an upasaka. It is one thing to do puja, and it is one thing to realize the deity. There is a difference between the two. There are thousands who do pujas. There are priests who do pujas day in and day out. बट जिसको हम लोग सिद्धि कहते हैं, अकम्प्लिशमेंट ऑफ द डेटी, बहुत रेयर चीज है वो. इट विल कम ओनली थ्रू दिस पाथ एंड नो अदर पाथ. यू हैव टू फॉलो दिस. इट इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट मंत्र जपा. मंत्र जपा इज वन स्टेप. नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज दैट these vahanas are designed, this is designed this way to, it gives you a message in the subconscious mind, in a subliminal mind ki how do you approach her. You have to cross the stage of the lion as a protector of dharma. Then you have to become like a preta, completely detached from the world. There's nothing to gain from the world. You're done. Okay. In that state, automatically there's a lotus that blooms of all things, the purest of things. The spiritual journey has started. Creation, new creation has happened. Lotus. And beyond that, then it manifests into the absolute deity. This is what Kamakhya Tattva is. How you reach it? Mantra japa is the way. Sadhana is the way. If you're that capable, even meditation could be the way.
So for an average householder, how does somebody like me, how do I move towards Ma Kamakhya?
The easiest way, starting, is to read the Kamakhya Stotram. Okay. Just light a diya, read the Kamakhya Stotram, visit the Kamakhya Kshetra, bring some of the jal from Kamakhya, mix it. The water has to be kept in a specific manner. You keep it mixed with Ganga jal.
Okay.
And at least the ratio of 3:1 or 4:1, which means that if 1 cup of that jal is there, then at least 4 times Ganga jal has to be mixed with it, pure Ganga jal. Okay, or add some edible kapoor in it. Then every day when you sit for your japa, if you're a Shakta upasaka,
Shaktipitha,
proper,
yes.
if Shakti is the one you love,
Ji.
then you do your achman with that water.
Okay.
Every day. Okay, you do a little bit of achman with that. That water is miraculous things that can
And
be
we
done.
drop that water on the ground after
No,
Achman?
achman is when you take the 3 names.
Three
Okay,
names?
you little bit, just 1 drop. Okay, 1 drop, and you start with the achman of that, with that water. You keep the Raktavastra of Ma Kamakhya in front. You keep a photo of Ma Kamakhya, light one diya, and read the Kamakhya Stotra. That is the first easiest step. And if a person is meant to succeed in Kamakhya Upasana, you will get signs very quickly. Within 3-4 months, if you do it, at least 108 din regular, if somebody does it, you will start getting signs. Definitely, you will understand that whether this is the deity for you or not. 108 days you will get. She's very fast. But that is not the end. That is only the beginning of the path. The
Okay.
end to God knows where that is. So after a point in Kamakhya Sadhana, there are things of Kamakhya Sadhana, I feel, is like an iceberg. After a point, it becomes very secret. She loves that secrecy.
Oh.
It's not to be spoken of. It cannot be discussed. The unfit have no business there. If you enter, if a person who does not have the adhikara enters into that domain, he or she will be thrown out of that domain. Situations will happen such a way. So in Kamakhya Pitha, there are so many people I know who go there, do sadhanas. Initially, it's very good. Then suddenly the deity reacts, and then there are cautions that have to be followed at the higher stages. But there is nothing more blissful than Kamakhya Sadhana.
So in my limited little whatever I have done, I have felt that she's extremely kind. I don't know, I could be wrong, but when she grants a wish, does she also take something away?
No, that depends. There is no, it's not like that is how it will be always.
Okay.
But yes, there is a thing with Kamakhya Devi and many other deities for that matter. By the way, when you ask for something, there are some deities who can be in certain stages in the tathastu mode. They will give you, but suppose it is not there in your destiny. Suppose it is something very complicated. So the price will also have to be paid. There's
So
no free
the
ka.
balance.
Yeah, there's nothing called free ka cheez. To ask something is not, as I keep saying, very often I've repeated this, that to generate Shakti is easy. To maintain Shakti is very difficult. To apply Shakti is even more difficult. To ask something is good. To be intelligent enough to know what to ask and how much to ask, that is different level altogether. You will need a lot of maturity to know that. That is where all the game is. It is not about asking. You keep asking, she will just say, okay, but the bill will also come to you. She's not going to foot the bill for it.
I've faced it.
So that happens to everybody. It's not a big deal. We learn and we become mature through that process, right? So that is how we grow. Everybody will
She's
make.
ever kind.
Yeah, she's ever kind.
She's ever kind.
She's ever kind. So that is the beauty of Ma Kamakhya.
I will want to talk about the case as well.
Yes.
But before I hit that, I see a lot of people sometimes going there with very little understanding. Not that I understand, I'm in the same little group. But is there a certain etiquette that we need to follow in a place like Ma Kamakhya Kshetra?
Yeah, so one specific thing that I keep mentioning is that if you go to Kamakhya, at least have some understanding of what type of place this is, okay, and why. What is the nature of the deity. So you should not come there with no idea and just like that in a very casual touristy kind of idea, and then because Kamakhya Kshetra is a Vamachara Kshetra, remember this. So offerings of meat, alcohol, etc. purified is done, and done very openly, by the way. These days if you go there, very often if you just enter into a Mahavidya temple, you might see the pandas and the priests sitting down with meat and fish and even purified alcohol and doing puja. It's very normal there. A
Yes.
lot of people have seen that. Anybody who
Yes.
goes there will get to see that. So you should not be shocked by it. So these things are there as a natural part of the deity, and she allows it. That is why it is there. You cannot suddenly go there and suddenly act very moralistic in your own peculiar way and say, oh, why is it like this? That is not, that's disrespectful to the deity. Either if you don't like it, don't go there. It's no compulsion. So remember very clearly, Bali happens there. So that's a part of our process. Okay, there's no, don't be you need not have to give Bali if that doesn't appeal to you, but you cannot criticize it. Let's be very clear about it. That's being disrespectful, going to the place of a deity and criticizing the method of worship that comes from the shastras of the deity. That cannot be done. Then there is going to be a repercussion into your life. That be very clear about it. What a person can and should do is that if you really like Ma Kamakhya, go there, have darshan, light a diya, do pradakshina of the main temple, read the Kamakhya Stotram, sit down, meditate. Just do this much. Keep doing this. When the time is right, she will open the door.
So I think last year you had made a Bengali podcast.
Okay.
And you had given us a sadhana that you had said that, to do 108 pradakshina
Of the Kamakhya Kshetra.
of the Kamakhya Mandir,
Okay.
and to chant
The Stotram.
the stotram. So many have done, many have not done. I did it, but I did it in 2 days. I broke the 2 days because I had gone in August.
Right.
It was terribly warm. Moving back, this is the simplistic ways that we know we worship Ma. How do we move up the ladder
Right.
and worship her in the proper tantric way?
So, proper tantric upasana of Ma Kamakhya requires diksha, or at least an upadesham from somebody who knows. Okay. Now, Kamakhya, you can worship her as any of the Mahavidyas, by the way. You can worship her as Kali. There's a lot of people who worship her as as Chandi. Okay. It's perfectly valid. In fact, Durga Puja is a very big thing in Kamakhya. With the Navana mantra, many people worship her. It's perfectly valid. So if you have an upadesham for that, if you have an upadesham for a Devi mantra, you can go any Devi mantra, by the way. Any Devi mantra, I repeat again, it need not be Kamakhya, Kali, Tara, etc. In fact, one of the very interesting things about Kamakhya sadhana is that once you go deeper into her sadhana, because she's Nirakar, eventually she will cause situations to tell you which is the form of Mahavidyas or forms of Mahavidya that is suitable for you, and she will push you into those directions. Of the 10 Mahavidyas, who are the ones that connect to you best due to your Purva Samskara, your current nature, your destiny, etc. And she will push you into those directions. And Kamakhya will manifest through those Mahavidyas. She can manifest through Kali, she can manifest through Tara, she can manifest through Kamala, she can manifest through Chinnamasta. She is all of these. Okay. And that's a stage that comes after a few years of sadhana. If your sadhana is very dedicated to her, she will tell you which is the Mahavidya that in that Upasaka's case, which is the form in which she will manifest easily. Okay. And it can vary depending on the person to person. So when I say I worship Ma Kamakhya, it's a generic term. Perhaps inside the term is hidden A or B Mahavidya. I don't mention the name, whom I'm worshipping. Okay.
That's secrecy again. That you
Yes.
have to maintain.
Yes.
Ma loves secrecy.
Yes, she loves secrecy. She loves secrecy, and especially at the highest stages of the sadhana. And what I'm talking about is still not the high stages. Really high stages, automatically you will realize the necessity of secrecy. Okay. And you cannot speak. You cannot speak to an unfit individual. You cannot speak in an unfit environment. A lot of conditions are there. Okay. Only those the fittest and those who can have the adhikara for it, who can maintain that sacredness and secrecy. Two words, sacredness and secret, sacred and secret. Those two have to, that sense has to come in. They can be revealed, some of the higher tattvas of the deity. But that is only if the deity allows it. Otherwise, there is some amount of backfiring. But this comes at a very later stage. It is not at the initial stages. Initially, if you are, say, suppose somebody has been doing some Durga mantra or something. So you go to Kamakhya, you do the mantra japa of Ma Durga there. Spend at least 3 to 4 days. Do pradakshina. Do at least 100 malas of the mantra there in 2 to 3 days. Okay, 100 malas. If possible, you light a diya and tell Ma Kamakhya that you are going to do that mantra, 108 malas of the mantra. Then you get at least a basic puja done there, which is called the sadha puja or something like that. If you want to accelerate your sadhana more, then give a bali.
Okay.
To the pandas, you ask them.
Yes.
You tell them that you want to give a bali.
So normally from my understanding, I have realized that people say वो मन्नत मांगते हैं आके बलि देके जाएंगे. Because in Kamakhya, I've seen people from all over Bharat just pouring in.
Yeah.
People who otherwise wouldn't have been there. So you have also said when people have troubles, then they forget all their personal hi hui and they just land up giving bali. So now moving on. So then what happens? So after this, where do we go? Somebody gives a bali, let's say.
So suppose you do a bali. Bali puja you do, bali, and along with the mantra sadhana you're doing. Sadhana. Then you come back, okay, and use that water for japa, achman. And you do next 3-4 months, you'll see that your sadhana becomes more intense. Do people do this for material gains as well? Because you do it for sadhana. You don't have to do it for material gains. Okay. See, that's the thing. Bali need not always be for material gains. Sometimes it can be. Okay. Sometimes there are, I don't deal with cases much, but suppose in some instances if I'm dealing with a specific case of an individual and I feel that a bali is needed, then bali is done. Yes. It's done in Kamakhya with the sankalpa for whatever reason it is done, etc. But bali can also be given generally also. It is not that all bali has to be for some particular mannat. No. Okay. So there are two things. There is a nitya puja that happens in Tantra, daily puja. There is a naimittika puja of a devata. Naimittika puja means in Vishesh Tithis the pujas are done. For example, the texts recommend that generally when Durga puja and Kali puja is done, bali has to be given. It is not because you want some specific result. It is because she likes it. She likes it. Okay. So therefore, bali is a very integral part of sadhana. And not just bali, whether the offerings are made, bhog is made for ma and the various others. So basic path of mantra sadhana and anushtan. Anushtan means you complete the mantra, you do homa, you do marjan, you do tarpan. Repeat the process. This is the way to go about. Okay. She loves the process of mantra sadhana very much. Eventually, it will deepen your meditation also. And then she will only manifest and she will show various signs. Last year, after the court case and all that was going on, I remember, I'll just mention a specific incident. Please, sir. Specific incident. I had, during the course of my sadhana, I met an individual, let's say that who is very, very advanced. Okay. At Kamakhya? No, it's another city. Okay. Some other city. Okay. He was very advanced, quite advanced, extremely intuitive, and very saintly. And he is a worshipper of a different deity, not Kamakhya, some other deity, okay, etc. So I went, I met him, general conversations were going on, etc., etc. And he suddenly mentions that, wait, I have to give you something. I said, what? He had a very unique yantra in his home. Very unique, that I haven't seen a second yantra like that ever in my life. Okay. Very unique yantra. And with fully pran pratishtita and etc. It had been told in a dream to him to get this yantra made and keep. But the yantra is so unique that again it's secretive and unique. It cannot, neither can it be shown nor can it be spoken of in very great details. But the Shakti is so palpable in that yantra. I very rarely come across yantra like that. उन्होंने बना के अपने घर में रख दिया, एक जगह पे रख दिया. It is again, as I mentioned, there are certain stages in Ma Kamakhya sadhana where things have to be secretive. So it was kept very secret, in the sense that very few people knew that he had the yantra. So then he suddenly tells me that, you know, the देवता जो देवी के स्वरूप है उस यंत्र में, she is telling me that she wants to go with me, and then he gives me the yantra and says that she wants to come with you and you keep her in your home and you worship. It's one of the most unique yantras I've never seen any yantra like that ever in any other place. So it is a yantra connected to Ma Kamakhya. And he gets this dream quite some time ago to make this and keep it at his home. And then I end up suddenly somehow going there. He's not even a worshipper of Ma Kamakhya, but he's very advanced spiritually. I land up here. We had general conversations about various things, normal stuff and all that. And then suddenly he gets this thought intuitive. This deity is asking that she wants to come with me. And still, that's one of the most unique yantras I've ever seen.
So this is how Ma pushes you, that
yes.
worship more
yes.
for higher power to
yes.
solve other problems.
All that I don't know. I don't think too much. I just do what comes naturally. See, that's what human mind wants to calculate and think. You can't. Her pace is faster than yours.
Of course.
Okay, she knows. Trust her and follow the path. But my point being that when this happened, this was a very tremendous, more than a nimitta. It's like she herself giving a direct
Gift
signal to you that everything is all right. The path that you're walking is absolutely correct. This is what she wants. That yantra is one of the most powerful yantras that I've ever. It's not a yantra. It's the deity herself, and it requires a certain degree of puja, maintenance,
daily sadhana,
a lot of things.
Daily everything. It's okay.
So blissful that I sometimes when I sit and do seva to it, I feel like nothing else is needed in the world. That's all. कुछ आगे नहीं जाना है, मोक्ष भी नहीं चाहिए, कुछ नहीं चाहिए. It's so beautiful.
You just want to sit there and
just it's absolute अलग different world altogether.
Sir, from this blissful state to the state of unbliss, if unbliss is a word, you're laughing because I'm going to ask you about the Kamakhya corridor case.
Correct.
Abhi kya status hai, sir? Like,
so right now the case is at a point where the government has given to the courts that they will involve the IIT in finding out the stream of water that is there in the hills and how it's flowing. Based on that only they will proceed. But at the same time there is some other developments happening, or I mean recently somebody told me that some of the pandas mentioned that perhaps the government is trying to find some other way to somehow, start the construction or some other, because for them it is like a matter of ego, I guess, that, we just have to get this done, kaise bhi karke dikha dete hai, fir we'll get some photo ops and things like that.
Ego again, okay.
It is there as it is. So it is like it's not solved yet, but at least for the sake of the, let's see, it was the PIL that we filed was the best thing, in my opinion. Without that, it would have been absolutely damaging to the Kshetra, completely damaging.
So the only problem that I have, in my head about the Kamakhya corridor cases, if something goes wrong, who is accountable? Who will take the who will take the blame for this? Because you cannot just do something and create a haphazard environment for our upasana, because it's not just us, future generations, generations. So how can you just stop something like with a wrong decision?
The government takes no blame for anything. Government has the right
to... lega? Who will be blamed finally? Right. These other places who are doing the research or whatever?
Nobody. I have no idea.
So there'll be no fall guy.
No fall guy at all. That's the beauty of the government, that they have no fall guy. They have the right to make mistakes, and then they completely ignore that and pretend that nothing has happened. So I don't know what this term government really is. It's a set of individuals, all of whom do not take responsibility. They just want to get something done, and then and somehow the other get the stuff done, and then pretend that. So in the very the way the whole matter has proceeded till now, from the times when the initial plans were given. At every step, if the documents, and these I'm talking about the documents that are there in the public domain, if anybody sits and reads those documents, these phases, the first impression that he or she will get is that there is this lack of transparency, this lingering sense of dishonesty.
You've
in
been
the manner.
saying this for the last 1 year.
Yes. And I will tell you this, not just this. Today, you put it's easy to put things to vote, right? Take a vote across Kamakhya, remember, not just Kamakhya. Temples of the caliber of Kamakhya or Tirupati, Mahakal, they belong to all devotees across the world. They are not one single, this is not located to the geography. Remember that. You are playing with the emotions of devotees across the world. Tantra upasakas across the world. Shakti upasakas across the world. It is my challenge you to voting, that do you want this type of development which damages and which kind of rough shots through taking whatever things have to be done. So there are occasions when something is being told but the document shows something different. Every step there is this peculiar, how would I put it, it doesn't inspire confidence. Let me just put it this way.
Yes.
It doesn't inspire confidence in the people that the government has the right intent, the right shraddha, and the right approach to getting this done.
So the government thinks that we'll build more hotels around it,
perhaps,
and beautify or whatever
yes,
their
that is
plan
the whole idea.
And that will increase tourism. And that will lead to employment.
Correct.
So why can't the same thing be replicated at the bottom of the foothill? Because there's so many shops. I go there quite often.
Basic question, no answer.
Okay.
Basic question. Anybody with even 1% of intelligence will ask the first question. Why do you need all the development on top of the hill?
Yes.
Do it
and
down.
they can have beautiful carts.
Yeah.
Green carts going up. People
whatever you do, the hill should not be damaged to the extent that the water flow is. How can you have a plan and you have the tenders passed and you have the contract given without even doing the step one, which is that recognizing that what is the flow of the water? You don't know that, but you have made all sorts of plans and you have done inaugurated things and you have clapped and you have put up newspaper articles and don't know what else is there, and then you ask that, please trust us. Is this the behavior of somebody who should be trusted?
Had you not stopped, had you not intervened, if I may say, at the right moment?
Let's clarify. It is Ma Kamakhya who intervened through the right people. It is her will, and I have absolutely zero doubt about it, because I remember when the Prashna was done, I have a copy recording of it. Not only that, it was done again. There were 2-3 times it was done different, just to verify. And all of them said the same thing, that the court case has to be done. It is the will of the deity, and whatever was told in that reading, even the smallest of things happen. It said that, there are people who are pretending to be friends, but they're actually political agents. They'll try to backstab. Everything happened. They said people are going to leave and the new set of people will have to come who will be doing this case. That is what happened. It said that lawyer is going to backturn. That is what happened. In fact, it mentioned to the extent that after some months, there's a specific ayudha of a deity that will come to me. I have the recording with me. It did come. I will not mention what it is.
Okay.
A very interesting and very amazing ayudha of a deity very peculiarly came to my house, and it is still there, and I worship on specific tithis. That is, so there's nothing that has not happened in that reading.
So you've been a Ma Kamakhya upasaka for many, many years.
Yes.
Probably in some past birth. I don't know. I'm just... would you want to share some experiences that you've had earlier before the court case, when you would go and, sit there for days and days and do your sadhana? Any stories? Because these stories, we don't really get to hear them often. Anything that comes into your mind instantly?
There are many experiences I've had in Kamakhya. I've had more experiences in Kamakhya than anywhere else in the world.
Okay.
That's why I like that place so much, like the deity. One experience I had, which was very interesting many years ago, and I was having darshan inside the Garbhagriha. And then I bent down. You have to bend down to touch the water. Jal sparsha is the main thing in Kamakhya. Instead of just namaskar, you have to touch the water. I bent down to touch the water, and there was this little girl who had come with a family. And as I bent down, her face was close to my ears, and she started coming. She took her mouth to my ear, right here, and started saying a mantra. Okay, repeating it 3-4 times. And I was like taken aback. What happened exactly? So anyway, I came out of the Garbhagriha. I called up a senior upasaka and who had some intuitive abilities also. And he told me that this is a very clear indication that it is what the deity wants you to do sadhana of. It is she who is telling you. It is not the little girl. She uses the girl to convey the information to you. Okay, the girl may not be aware of what is happening. And I said, okay, so what do I have to do? So this is a very rare form of a mantra upadesh that comes from a devata. Sometimes a deity can give you a mantra upadesh. Not everybody can get it,
Of course.
but if you have the purvajana samskara, it can happen. So then he said that you do an anushthan of that mantra. He told me specific vidhan of the anushthan. In Kamakhya Kshetra, you sit and do. I did 1/3 of the anushthan was over, not even fully. That day after the anushthan, 1/3 I got over. I finished the homa, tarpan, japa, whatever else was done, and I was sitting in my room in the evening and I was meditating. And I could feel that I was out of my body, completely out of my body, physical body. I was just meditating. I could see everything. I could see subtle body. I could see the roads, the path, and everything. And some strange force was pulling me. And it was evening, but the temple had shut down at that time, by the way, night time. And I went straight inside into the Garbhagriha, right in the center of the Garbhagriha, and there was no one there, obviously. But I could see everything. I could see the water. I could see dim lights. I could see everything. And right in the Garbhagriha, there was a presence of a deity sitting down. Okay, I won't describe her, but that was Ma Kamakhya. That was the first time I actually saw her.
In her Kameshwari roop?
No,
or
in a specific form. All details I can't tell you, but
Sorry.
it was the most powerful experience I've had, because that form is imprinted in my head. It was very, very, very intense, very intense, very, very intense. She was sitting there and there were other things, and it's beautiful. The face is so powerful and so alive. Okay. It's the first, that is one of the experiences I cherish very deeply.
Now, I wouldn't ever have this, but what I might have is where we do the Jala Sparsha. Over there is there also a cave or something, a guha?
No, we entered the cave and then we Jala Sparsha.
Yes.
Underneath there are a lot of other things.
Because, so Ma Kamakhya is here, where Jala, and after that there is, Ma Kamalatmika and
Yes.
Ma Matangi.
Yes. Right next to it.
Right next to it. So we touch there, do Jala Sparsha.
Yes.
Okay. So, my mind is still, very confused, sir, about Ma Kamakhya on one thing, that you have reached a very high level, because you're, of course, sort of a, you would.
There are many high people who have reached high level.
Yes. You're one of them. How do we as householders, we reach some level? Kahin pe to, like, other than the sadhana, what is the mindset? Do we only worship her ki ma ye de do, ma ye de do? Because long back, once you had mentioned that, we people have this habit ki the transactional thing.
So, to reach Kamakhya properly, so it is easier to worship Ma Durga. Slightly easier comparatively. It's slightly easier to worship Ma Kali. It's even slightly easier to worship Tara. But the Nirakar Swarup of Kamakhya is very tough to worship. It's one thing to say that I'm worshipping, it's another thing to have a positive response. A two-way interaction with the deity is a very different thing. Sabke liye nahi hota hai. But the thing is, to reach into her inner sanctum of the Divine Mother in Kamakhya, you will need to either pass, there are routes. What is the route? One is that what we discussed, the iconography. You do work for dharma like a lion. Okay. Eventually, you will become nirlipta like Shiva. And then from there is a organic creation, new creation that will happen in the form of a lotus. And then she will manifest. That is one path. Other path, you worship Bhairava. Bhairava gives you that steadiness. He has the doors. He has the keys to the door of the inner sanctum of the goddess. Nobody else has. He will prepare your mind and body, and that steady devotion in the heart and that ability to pass through anything unfazed are qualities that are absolutely needed for somebody to succeed in Devi Upasana. So, I'm not talking only about doing sadhana. There are hundreds of people in Eastern India. So if you just randomly throw a stone, it will fall on somebody who has Tantra Diksha and doing some sadhana. It's very natural. We all do that. That's okay. Wonderful. But I'm talking about a stage where you actually, Interact to that level where you are in the presence of the goddess. And it's not a one-time thing, it is something that will repeat over and over, and it will pull you deeper and deeper. That level to do. So one aspect you will learn from texts, one aspect you will learn from your gurus. Beyond that, there is an X factor that has to come from within you. If you have it, you will be able to do. If you don't have it, you will not be able to. Nobody can teach that one, that extra thing, that X factor. If it is there from your past lives, if it is there within you, if that zeal is there, in spite of everything, what is it that you can do extra that nobody has taught you? Nobody in the world, only you have been self-taught by her grace. Later realize that it is she who has put the thought into your head and told you what to do. But that thing, that effort and that infinite patience, Bhairava teaches you patience, lot of patience, years after years. Remove time from the equation, then you will succeed. Someday or the other, some lifetime or the other. Definitely will succeed. Anybody will succeed. But initial stages, so therefore, you do Ma Kamakhya sadhana, along with you do Bhairava sadhana. It helps in building that base, it helps in building that contact. And eventually, remember this also, not every upasaka, everybody who does these sadhanas are meant to reach the highest stages in one lifetime.
Yes, of course.
So you have to take that into account. Lifetime is just, it's not the end. You again start. In our culture, in our system, we don't believe in a complete annihilation of anything.
No.
You're born, you die, you are reborn, you die, you're reborn, your sadhana continues again. So it's not everybody is going to reach the final stages in this lifetime alone. Some may reach it in few more lifetimes later. This may be a preparation. So that is why patience is very important. Patience, discipline, consistency. Keep doing that, and then she herself will open the path. So basically, you start doing the sadhanas of Kamakhya Stotra, or if somebody has guided you into a mantra, then do that mantra sadhana. And at least once a year, you have to visit the Kshetra and stay for 4 or 5 days and do the same mantra sadhana there, along with, if you can do Homa, very good. If you cannot do Homa, then at least do the mantra sadhana, do Pradakshina, get a Bali puja done. Carry this on for few. Repeat. Not that every time you have to do new things. Same thing repeated 10 times becomes much more powerful than trying, digging in 10 different places.
Right. Wow. I don't know. I want to just wrap this conversation with a little more. We moved from the court case. I just want to know that with this court case coming up, we get, you're getting dates, I believe.
Yeah.
What happens next, sir? Like, what is the next move? If there is, so if IIT or I wouldn't know, whatever, like I have learned. So if IIT gives a go ahead and if they, build something over there, and there will be disastrous because, it's a little hillock. There will be pressure. So what happens? This is just a speculation. Kahin pe bhi, it's not just Ma Kamakhya, it's the 10 Mahavidyas as well. Any place, if the water is obstruction, if there is any obstruction to the waterfall into the Garbhagriha of any of the Mahavidyas or Ma Kamakhya's Garbhagriha, what happens then?
It can have a very strong negative repercussion.
Yes, I wanted to know. Like on whom? On us? Or like India, Bharat?
It can have it's a temple so powerful that it can have a negative repercussion on the whole land, specifically in and around the northeast areas, and also obviously on the people who facilitated such a thing to occur in the first place. That too you have to be very sure of. I mean, anybody who has covertly or overtly supported any activity which caused or likely to cause a damage to the Kamakhya Kshetra will face very severe repercussions in the coming years. And it's not a deity's judgment is not a 1 day, 2 day thing. Wait for 5 to 6 years, you'll realize on your own. Such powerful repercussions can come from a deity. So that apart, that is their karma. They will suffer for it, whoever it is. Okay. From this point of the Upasaka, if that water flow is damaged, it causes a severe disruption in the energy of that place, and it can bring about an anger of the deity, where the worst thing that can happen, by the way, is not even natural calamities or some kind of a thing. I mean, if you are a spiritual minded person, you will know that a deity's anger can cause various things in a particular.
Seen few places.
The worst thing that can happen is that the deity may leave the place and go. In that case, you lose that power or that access to that that center of energy, and the loss is entirely for the upasakas. Somebody who does, obviously somebody who can make a plan like this and try to push it through has fundamentally zero faith. Faith is not a matter of verbal dialogues. Anybody can say anything, means nothing. It is by your actions alone that you will be judged, and that is the only way to judge whether the faith is real or faith is just for gimmicks to show people, etc. So at the end of the day, it comes to that the greatest loss will be to the followers of the Shakta Dharma, those who follow Tantra Upasana, and anybody who has any reverence for the goddess. Because then the worst thing that can happen is the deity may leave their place. Then slowly what will happen is that eventually the place will lose its sanctity. It may get lost in time. Anything can happen once the power that is there is removed. And this is the beauty of such places like Kamakhya, by the way. They're not temple, and all that structure comes in later. It's the natural formation that has the power. So that is why it is so unique and so rare.
Okay. This, we're ending it on a very heavy note, heavy on the head and heavy on the heart. I hope through your podcast, sir, people take note and stop while things can still be stopped.
Yeah, let's see how things go, and we have further court case dates,
Coming
and
up.
we are hopeful that from the courts, the judicial system in India, we will get our pleas will be heard. And in any case, whenever there is a so these are all, whatever I've talked about, are things in the public domain already. So whenever there is any kind of assessment or anything done by anybody, and it has to be put up in the public domain, so we will have the best experts in this country, people who do not have any specific allegiance to any political parties as such, go through them, review them, technically review them, and if we are not satisfied, we will file our responses in the courts. So we will fight till the end, because this is our dharma. Victory or loss is secondary. I don't even know. I can't predict the future. But to fight, yes, absolutely. You cannot take away a place like this just because you want to have a photo of tomorrow that I did something fantastic. No, not happening.
Perfect.
That's how it should be.
I think I'm speechless, and it is a wrap finally at the end of the day.
Here. Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Bhairava Baba, Jai Matara.
Jai Matara, Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Baba. Thank you.
Thank you.